While the world mourned the loss of a guitar prodigy in a fiery crash, the official investigation buried crucial details about the pilot's state of mind that fateful morning. By March 1982, Ozzy Osbourne's solo band was dominating the charts, but behind the triumphant arena tours, exhaustion and dangerous boredom were tearing the crew apart. The tour bus pulled into Leesburg, Florida, stopping at the Flying Baron Estates, a desolate airfield owned by tour bus driver Andrew Aycock, hiding a lethal trap. Aycock wasn't just a driver. He was a licensed pilot whose personal life was unraveling rapidly under the heavy weight of cocaine addiction and marital betrayal. But the real danger wasn't just the pilot's chemical dependency. It was a secret midnight grudge that had been festering inside that vehicle for days. In the pre-dawn hours, Aycock sneaked onto the tarmac alongside keyboardist Don Airey and tour makeup artist Rachel Youngblood, seeking a cheap thrill in a borrowed Beechcraft. That initial flight terrified Rachel so badly that she swore never to fly again, stepping out of the aircraft just minutes before tragedy struck the runway. Randy Rhoads, despite his severe fear of flying, was eventually persuaded to board the 1955 Beechcraft Bonanza to take aerial photographs of the compound. As the single-engine plane taxied down the runway, no one realized Aycock's license had expired years ago, rendering every passenger uninsured and completely unprotected. But what happened next in the cockpit wasn't just a tragic accident. It was a calculated act of terrifying intimidation that crossed the absolute point of no return. Aycock had a bitter vendetta against his estranged wife, Wanda, who was sleeping inside the tour bus parked right next to the dilapidated aircraft hangar. With legendary tour manager Jake Duncan watching in horror from the ground, the plane suddenly swooped low, buzzing the sleeping quarters at terrifying speeds. Twice, Aycock skimmed the roof of the tour bus, waking up the entire band in sheer panic as the roaring engine shook the metal frame violently. On the third catastrophic pass, tragedy struck with unforgiving precision. A wing clip clipped the bus structure, sealing the fate of everyone on board. The aircraft careened wildly out of control, smashing through a garage roof before erupting into a massive fireball that instantly ended 3 promising lives. But the official toxicology reports released weeks later revealed a horrifying truth that the music industry tried desperately to sweep under the rug. Andrew Aycock's bloodstream was loaded with high levels of cocaine, proving the flight wasn't a harmless joyride, but a drug-fueled suicide mission driven by jealousy. Ozzy Osbourne later wrote in his memoirs that the death of Randy Rhoads felt like losing a limb, plunging the entire metal community into a deep, unending mourning. Yet the shadow of negligence stretched far beyond the pilot, pointing directly at lax security and unchecked substance abuse within major touring organizations. How many other rock legends flew on dangerous, unregulated aircraft while management looked the other way to keep the lucrative tour schedules running on time? Randy Rhoads left behind a revolutionary neoclassical guitar style that changed heavy metal forever, inspiring millions of musicians who never got to see him live. The Flying Baron Estates airfield eventually fell into abandonment, but local folklore maintains that the echoes of that fateful 1982 engine roar still haunt the Florida pines. When we examine the dark side of rock history, we realize that genius often walks hand in hand with reckless catastrophe and avoidable human error. The tragedy of March 19, 1982, remains a stark reminder that behind the roaring amplifiers and flashing lights, real human lives hung by a terrifying thread. Decades later, fans still pilgrimage to his gravesite in San Bernardino, keeping the immortal flame of Randy Rhoads burning brightly against the darkness of time. Every chord Randy played on Diary of a Madman was a masterpiece of classical precision meeting heavy metal fury, cut tragically short by one man's fatal ego. As music safety protocols transformed drastically following this disaster, the industry finally acknowledged that rockstar lifestyles required strict boundaries and accountability. Yet the haunting question lingers in every documentary and tribute. Could the greatest guitarist of his generation have been saved if someone had spoken up? The wreckage was cleared away, but the mythos of Randy Rhoads solidified into heavy metal folklore, immortalized by the notes he left echoing in eternity. Remember his name, because whenever a shredder takes the stage today, they are standing on the foundations built by a quiet guitar teacher from Burbank.